Pandemic makes me whole summer bed, and a lot of people nowadays are feeling sad. But it's okay, as long as we are with our family, and so that we can nourish our time spiritually. Our lives have changed a lot because of this pandemic, and pretty much it has given 2020 the label tragic. The year itself has been full of mystery and tragedy, and I myself struggle to find a future that is good for me. But more than the bad things happen, I choose to start positive. I choose to continuously hope for what is happy, though it may seem elusive. I just trust God that everything will fall into plan. Can't be with their friends, but it doesn't end. We should stay in our homes and sleep their comfortable forms. This quarantine made me learn something firm. A lot of realizations with new options. During this pandemic, I felt really lonely after seeing the homeless people getting hungry, while I'm here complaining about our food. Until I realized how God treated us as I watch the world each day. The numbers keep on rising of the ones who passed away. The virus doesn't seem to have any vaccine, and that gives me a heartbreak. I'm afraid there might be some who think that I don't care to this pandemic. But we shouldn't worry, because God is always here. God all knows. We need even. But before we ask, He wants to help us out.
Magandang gabi, Ma'am Eves. So ngayong gabi, itatalakay ko kung ano ang napili kong pinagkukunan ng yaman dito sa bahay. Alam naman natin lahat na pinagkukunan ng yaman ng lahat ng tao dito sa mundo ay yamang tubig, yamang mineral, yamang lupa at yamang enerhiya. Sa aking sitwasyon, pinili ko ang yamang tubig at yamang enerhiya dahil ginagamit natin ang tubig araw-araw upang maligo, inumin, at para diligan yung mga tanim sa aming bahay. Ikalawa, napili ko ang yamang enerhiya dahil yun ang dahilan kung bakit nagagamit ko ang aking mga gadgets para sa aking negosyo. Dahil naglalaro ako para ako ay magkaroon ng pera ngayong pandemya. Ginagamit ko ang mga ito ngayong pandemya sa pamamagitan ng paggamit nito ng maayos. Hindi dapat tayo mag-aksaya ng tubig dahil ang tubig sa mundo ay limitado lamang, lalo na yung mineral water. At kapag tayo naman ay gagamit ng enerhiya, hindi dapat natin ito gagamitin ng basta-basta lamang dahil tayo ay nagbabayad para magkaroon ng enerhiya sa ating mga bahay.
So good morning guys. So today, we'll talk about climate change. Climate change describes a change in weather conditions, like temperature and how thunderstorms happen more often than usual in a region over a long period of time. Climate change is a global challenge that has no borders, and to combat it requires coordinated work by all countries. One way to reduce the effect of the climate change is to plant more plants. By planting more plants, we can still breathe in fresh air even if we are just in our homes. And it helps produce more oxygen. Eating vegetables is one of the ways to reduce the effects of climate change. During these days, all of us should stay healthy because of the pandemic. We need also stay alert because nowadays, rainfall always happens every time because of the climate change. Wearing masks nowadays is very helpful because of the virus called Covid-19. This virus is airborne and you can get this through the air. That is why you need to wear masks. Masks can protect you
from any disease because it covers the main passage of air in your body, which is your mouth and your nose. So my conclusion for that is, if we do these solutions, we can make a better version of Earth. We could build a better future for the next generation, and so that we can also live a healthy lifestyle. That is why I present these plans and actions, because it can help heal the world and be a better place. So good evening, Momfe. So for tonight, we are going to talk about how FNF Tracking expanded their business through accounting equations. So on March 1, the account titles that we have for assets are cash, furniture and fixtures, building. So the effects of these is 400,000 pesos. So on March 1, the account titles that we have in assets are cash, furniture and fixtures, building. So we have here 400,000 pesos for cash and 50,000 pesos for furniture and fixtures and 2 million pesos for building. So when you add the three of them, it will become 2,450,000 pesos. So in the owner's equity, we have Fanafus Capital, which is 2,450,000 pesos, which is equal to the assets, which is 2,450,000 pesos. So in March 2, we have delivery vehicle and office equipment. For delivery vehicle, we have 1,800,000 pesos, and for office equipment, we have 120,000 pesos. So in the liabilities, we have accounts payable and notes payable. For accounts payable, we have 1,800,000 pesos, and for notes payable is 120,000 pesos, which is equal to the assets. And in March 5, we have office supplies and cash. For office supplies, we have 11,000 pesos, and for cash, we have negative 11,000 pesos. And that is equal to 0. So here, in March 6, the account title that we have is cash, and the amount of cash that there is negative 10,000 pesos. And for the expenses, the account title that we have is taxes and licenses, which is 10,000 pesos. So if you add both negative 10,000 and positive 10,000, we'll have 0. In March 8, we have cash and notes receivable. So for cash, we have 30,000 pesos, and for notes receivable, we have 20,000 pesos. And for the revenues, we have delivery income, which is 50,000 pesos. So if you add 30,000 pesos and 20,000 pesos in the assets, we will have 50,000 pesos, and that is equal. So in March 11, we have cash, and cash is negative 15,000 pesos. And for the expenses in March 11, we have fuel and lubricants and repair and maintenance. So for fuel and lubricants, there is 10,000 pesos, and for repair and maintenance, we have 5,000 pesos. So if you add the both of them, it will become 15,000 pesos, and it is equal to the asset of March 11. So in March 12, we have cash, and that is 30,000 pesos. And for the revenues in March 12, we have delivery income, which is 30,000 pesos, and it is equal to the asset of March 12. So in March 13, we have in the assets cash, and cash is equal to 100,000 pesos. And for the liabilities in March 13, we have loans payable, and it is equal to 100,000 pesos, and it's equal to the asset of March 13. So on March 14, we have cash, and it is equal to 20,000 pesos. And on the revenues, we have delivery income, which is equal to 20,000 pesos, and it is equal to the asset of March 14. So here in March 15, we have cash, and it is equal to negative 49,000 pesos. And for the expenses, we have salaries expense, which is equal to 49,000 pesos. So in March 25, we have cash for the asset, and it is equal to negative 14,000. And on March 25, we have expenses, which is rent expense, and that is 14,000 pesos. So in March 28, we have cash for the assets, and that is equal to negative 77,000 pesos. And for the owner's equity, FANAF whose drawing is negative 25,000 pesos. And for the expenses in March 28, we have salaries expense, which is equal to 49,000 pesos, and utilities expense, which is equal to 3,000 pesos. So if you add the both of them, it will become 52,000 pesos. And if you add the 52,000 pesos, the negative 77,000 pesos, it will become negative 25,000 pesos. So the total for assets is 4,405,000 pesos. And for the liabilities, we have 2,020,000 pesos. And for the owner's equity, we have 2,425,000 pesos. And the total for revenues is 100,000 pesos. And the last one is expenses. The total amount for expenses is 140,000 pesos.
You've been running around, throwing that dirt all on my name. 'Cause you knew that I'd call you up. You've been going around every party in LA. 'Cause you knew that I'd be at one. Oh, I know that dress is karma, perfume regret. You got me thinking about when you were mine. Oh, and now I'm all up on you. What you expect? But you're not coming home with me tonight. You just want attention. You don't want my heart. Maybe you just hate the thought of me with someone new. Yeah, you just want attention. I knew from the start. You're just making sure I'm never getting over you. You've been running around, throwing that know that dress is karma, perfume regret. You got me thinking about when you were mine. And now I'm all up on you, what you expect? But you're not coming home with me tonight. You just want attention, you don't want my heart. Maybe you just hit the thought of me with someone new. Yeah, you just want attention, I knew from the start. You're just making sure I'm never.
Ang konklusyon ko para sa first quarter sa math ay kung paano mag-solve ng mga problema na kung para sa atin ay hindi natin kaya, pero naghahanap pa rin tayo ng paraan upang masosolusyonan ito. At naghahanap tayo ng sagot kung paano maaayos ang problemang iyon. Sa science naman, ang tutunan ko sa first quarter ay kung gaano kahalaga ang mga halaman at iba pang mga tanim dito sa ating paligid dahil ito nagbibigay sa atin ng oxygen. At nalaman ko rin kung ano ang dapat natin kainin ngayong pandemya. Yung mga pagkain na nakaka-healthy sa atin. Ang natutunan ko sa English ngayong first quarter ay kung paano makipag-communicate sa mga tao na nasa ibang bansa o kung paano magsalita ng maayos kapag tayo ay gagawa ng speech. Sa CH naman, ang natutunan ko ay kung gaano kahalaga ang Diyos sa ating buhay. Ang Diyos ang gumawa sa ating mga buhay at ang Diyos rin ang sumusubaybay sa ating buhay upang mapunta tayo sa tamang landas upang makuha natin ang ating mga pangarap. Sa MAPE naman ay natutunan ko kung bakit kailangan tayo mag-exercise kada araw o linggo-linggo upang hindi tayo magkaroon ng sakit. Lalo na ngayong may pandemya. Ang natutunan ko naman sa TLE at computer ay kung paano mag-handle ng isang negosyo at kung paano ito patakbuhin ng maayos. At ang natutunan ko naman sa AP ay kung gaano kahalaga ang economic sa ating mga buhay. At sa Filipino naman ay natutunan ko kung gaano kahalaga ang mga dating tungkol. Yung ibig kong sabihin is yung mga kwentong Pinoy at tungkol sa mga talasalitaan at mga sanaysay. At nalaman ko rin kung paano gamitin ang wikang Filipino sa tamang paraan. Kagaya na lang ng paggamit ng po at opo kung tayo ay nakikipag-usap sa mga tao.